If you want to get lean, if you want to add more lean muscle mass, if you want to lose body fat, if you want a leaner stomach, all of those different things. If you want all of those things, a higher G-Flux score is what you're looking for. Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here today. I can't wait to get into today's topic. Some of it may be brand new for you. Those of you who have been in the fitness-based field, nutrition field, and maybe body transformation field would have heard about it, but maybe not in this particular way. It's called G-Flux, and it has to do with the energy of your body and how high your metabolism is. One of the reasons why this is more important than ever is that there's so many diets that are low carb, no carb, keto-based, higher fat, lower carb, and people are losing weight on them. There's no doubt about that, and I'm not saying that you won't. What I am saying is this, is that there can be a drastic lowering of the metabolism, which often gets looked at, or overlooked, I should say, in our nutrition-only bias of losing weight. One of the things that has been greatly overlooked is the form or the way that we lose weight through exercise. So, in the beginning, for your first, let's say, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks of losing weight, there's no doubt about it that nutrition trumps all other forms of weight loss. That means like going for a run, lifting weights, improving your sleep, like whatever it might be. Nutrition absolutely is going to help you lose the weight. I mean, you can legitimately lose 10 to 21 pounds in 21 days. We see that all the time in our practice, whether it's through a functional medicine detox that we do with Equal Life, whether it's the fat loss city weight loss system, or your favorite diet. Like, you can absolutely do that. And you can actually do it in a fairly safe way. The issue is this, or I should say a very safe way, not just a crash diet. The problem is that the goal shouldn't be short-term weight loss with no long-term plan and potentially hurting your metabolism. Our goal is help people lose weight in the short term, nothing wrong with that, but have a plan for how they're going to continue to lose weight. So if your only goal was to lose 10 pounds to, let's say, 21 pounds, okay, you could achieve that within your first 21 days. There's no doubt about that. The problem is, what if you have to lose 50 pounds? Well, what's your goal then for the next 29 or 30 pounds, right? There should be a goal there. And so what we like to talk about is the idea of, I've talked about this before in a podcast called reverse dieting, or transitioning off of a low carb diet, right? Or something called G-Flux. It's all about the same. So what I want to share with you right now is this. G-Flux represents the relationship between the amount of energy you take in, right? Those are your calories, your food, versus how much energy you burn through your output. And I'll talk about this a little bit more specifically, but that's essentially what determines your metabolism. This is really important. Food you take in versus energy you put out is essentially your metabolism. Now, your metabolism has to do with so much, circulation, hormones, et cetera, but when we're talking about weight loss or weight gain, we're talking about energy balance. And why this is important is because this does affect your hormones, and your hormones affects this. So I have specific podcasts on that, happy to link them up, but we've got a lot of shows on weight loss, weight gain that I'll share with you at stevencabral.com/2693. That's today's show. That's the show notes page. You'll find the 3 big takeaways. But let's look at it like this. Okay, you have 2 individuals. One of them takes in 1,500 calories per day, and their metabolic rate, so that's made up of your resting metabolic rate, the thermogenic effect of food, like how much the food you're taking in is burning up, plus your exercise activity thermogenesis, that's often referred to as EAT, plus the thermic effect of food, we spoke about that, plus the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's basically, on a daily basis, how many calories you're burning, right? So let's look at it this way. The food we take in, we can figure out pretty easily, right? Like that's no problem at all. And then I think for the most part, if you're using a biometrics tracker like an Oura Ring, a Whoop strap, or many of the other devices, you can find out basically what your resting metabolic rate is. It's a pretty easy calculus as well. We've shared that before on how to figure that out. But let's just say for that individual, it's 1,500 calories. Let's just say that's what it is, okay? Now, just again, for the sake of argument. So your 1,500 calories in and your 15 calories out on a daily basis, and let's say that person's not exercising, that's why it's so low. Okay, so that should create energy balance where the person does not gain weight or loses weight. All right, but now you have another individual, and that individual takes in 3,000 calories a day, twice as much, right? They take in, but they also put out, in terms of energy, 3,000 calories. So now that individual should be able to maintain weight, not gain, not lose, right? So they both created energy balance. One person, they take in a little bit of food, but they don't put out that much energy, so they don't need it. They balance at 1,500 calories a day. The other individual, they take in a lot of food, 3,000 calories a day, but they, through their resting metabolic rate, basal metabolic rate, thermogenic effect of food, exercise, etc., they put out 3,000 calories. Great. The difference is this. The person who only takes in 1,500 calories and puts out 1,500 has what's called a low G-Flux rating. The person who takes in 3,000 and puts out 3,000 has a high G-Flux. Think of it this way, because you can also do it through like addition and subtraction. Let's say a person was trying to lose weight. Okay, the person who was on 1,500 calories a day, they'd have to take down their 1,500 calories they're taking in even lower. Or they'd have to expend more energy, right? Okay, that would take their score down even more. Like that's the crazy thing. So let's say their total, add them up, what they take in, what they put out, it's 3,000 a day. Okay, the other individual, 3,000 in, 3,000 out, 6,000 a day. It's double what the other individual does. The 3,000 plus the 3,000, that's a high G-Flux score. So they both maintain their weight, but one does it at 1,500 calories a day in and out. The other does it at 3,000 calories a day in plus out. One individual, a much higher metabolism, hence the much higher G-Flux score. More energy comes in, more energy goes out. This is really important to look at this. I'm talking about this in terms of metabolism and your ability in order to be able to lose weight faster or tone up your body, and I'm putting that in air quotes, faster. And I want to share that with you. I'll be doing a whole separate G-Flux-based podcast for longevity because it is actually not the same and does not relate to the same goals. That's why inside of High Performance Health, if you don't know what High Performance Health is, I recommend checking it out. It's at highperformancehealth.org. This is radically different, and I teach this. You need to know what you are optimizing for. If you are optimizing for body transformation, then having a high G-Flux score is one of the best things that you can do. If you want to get lean, if you want to add more lean muscle mass, if you want to lose body fat, if you want a leaner stomach, all of those different things. If you want all of those things, a higher G-Flux score is what you're looking for. So what you want to be able to do is increase your calories in and increase your calories out. It's going to improve hormones. It will most likely improve glucose and insulin-based response and so much more. Your engine is going to be revving higher. The goal is to be able to output more. So one of the biggest things that we are missing in really all modern day cultures is that life has become fairly easy in terms of physical output. We walk less, we have more conveniences, we have a lot of smart devices, smart homes, and we can drive everywhere we want. In my practice, I've seen over the last 25 years, the average steps a typical person takes without being conscious of adding more is about 3,500 steps per day. It's amazingly low. We want to be at a minimum of 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. I teach that. I teach all the research inside of High Performance Health as well. Why that's important is that is the beginning of improving your metabolism. It's the beginning of improving your glucose response. Everybody's teaching lower your carbs, lower your carbs, lower your carbs. It's not the answer. The answer is actually getting your metabolism stronger, being able to use carbohydrates as fuel. Yes, you want to tap into body fat, but you also want to tap into glucose, carbohydrates. They're actually really good for your nervous system. They're good for your gut. You just don't want the high spikes in glucose all day long, right? So it's about output as well. All right, so your nutrition, your exercise, your daily activity, your overall lifestyle, even your physical constitution, an ectomorph or Vata body type is going to have a higher resting metabolic rate per pound than an endomorph body type. That's literally, not only did Ayurvedic medicine teach this 6,000 years ago, it's clinically proven today. And you can do a breath test. You can do a lot of different things to find out how much you need. But the truth is, you don't need to go through all of that. You really don't. You're able to, and I'll share this in just a moment, figure out how many calories you need per day. You really can figure that out. I'll share some tips on that. Okay, so what our goal is to create a high G-Flux, a high energy intake and energy expenditure, regardless of your body mass, how much you weigh. Okay, so here's what we need to do. The first thing we need to realize is that on a daily basis, you can look at it over a week, but on a daily basis, you can take in an average amount of calories that enables you to stay at your current weight. Now, you could be 220 pounds, taking in 2,000 calories a day. You also could be 160 pounds, taking in 2,000 calories a day. And each of those people could be at their specific G-Flux, their specific metabolism, where the 220-pound person at 2,000 calories a day maintains their weight, and the 160-pound person at 2,000 calories a day maintains their weight. I've seen lots of those people in my practice. 220-pound person, lower metabolic rate. Okay? 160-pound person, higher metabolic rate. The biggest difference is hormones is a big part of it. I've talked about that, and I'll link up the show because I don't want to keep just referring to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it up for you specifically on hormones. The last one I just did was episode 2686. We'll link that up. We'll link up a bunch of metabolic-based shows as well. It's really important to look at this. But also, the 160-pound person, regardless of their physical constitution, may have a higher output. So although their resting metabolic rate might be lower than the 220-pound person, their actual calculator of how many calories they burn is much higher. The other thing is the 2,000 calories that each of them eat may look drastically different. The 160-pound person may have a good amount of protein, healthy fats, a lot of vegetables, good fiber, slow digesting carbs, and the 220-pound person eating the 2,000 calories a day might be more processed food, might be more hydrogenated oils, fried foods, might be more faster digesting carbs, right? So it's really important that we also look at the quality of the food. It does matter over just calories, because a lot of people will tell you, and when you come right down to it, you can look at it this way, but I will say use this in everyday life and see how it works out with you over a year's period of time, not just a few weeks. You can calculate exact calories in versus calories out, but it does dramatically different things for the body. You could eat 2,000 calories in just processed carbs and flour, right? Things that come from a box or a bag. Or you could eat good quality lean proteins, whether it's vegan, paleo-based, etc., high amount of vegetables, olive oil is your healthy fat, your body's gonna look different. It is, right? So you could lose muscle mass, right, on the high processed carb one, and the other one could keep your muscle mass and your metabolism going. So how I wanna round this out is this. You're gonna find how many calories it takes per day in order to maintain your weight. And that you should be able to figure out within a couple weeks, really. And you can use, again, different biometric-based devices, but for the most part, if you're looking to lose weight, you'll be at a multiple of your body weight times about 10 to 12. Like that's how many calories you'll be taking in per day. And if you're someone that's looking to gain weight, it's typically on a multiple of 14 to 20. I mean, it really depends on, a lot of times, like when I was a teenager, I would have to have eaten 20 multiple times my body weight in order to be able to maintain it. So let's say I weighed 150 pounds, I need to eat 3,000 calories plus per day just to maintain that, because your metabolic rate is so high also when you're younger for many people. So what I want to share with you is this. Once you find your resting metabolic rate, or the amount of calories you can eat on a daily basis to maintain your G-Flux, whatever it might be, the goal is not always to reduce that, right? So let's say the 220-pound person, they want to lose weight. They want to get to 180 pounds, let's say. Okay, they've got a good goal, but they're eating 2,000 calories per day. Do you really want to go lower than that? Because that's a less than a multiple of 10, right? 2,200 calories a day would be that multiple of 10. So I would say, in my practice, well, it depends like what we're looking to do. I would much prefer the person's body to get healthy, and I would actually prefer them to expend 500 more calories per day rather than eating 500 less calories per day. Because if they're 220 pounds, I have to take their calories down to 1,500 calories per day. That's not a whole lot of food. It's in general for anybody's weight, but it's definitely not a lot of food for someone 220 pounds, right? And you might make the argument, well, their real true weight should be 180. I get it. I understand that. I'm not against that. But even still, 1,500 calories is not a lot of food. It's not a lot of nutrition. So yes, maybe I would take I would actually have them do a 21-day functional medicine detox to basically reset overall hormones, blood sugar, sleep, in a much healthier way, help with liver detoxification, help with overall toxicity, inflammation, etc. But then I would absolutely be ramping back up their calories. I really would. My goal for that individual would be greater expenditure. So the goal would actually be 2,000 calories in, but 2,500 calories out, maybe even more, 2,700 calories out. And we could get that in literally just 40 minutes a day of output. For someone 220 pounds, 40 minutes a day is going to burn an extra 500 calories. There's no doubt about that. Might even burn, again, in an hour, you could really burn 700, you could burn 700, 800 plus calories legitimately, not when the machines are, stacked in your favor. So that's my goal. My goal is actually to boost metabolism. And then what you'll find is when your hormones are operating at a better level, you're taking in good quality food, and your energy expenditure is up, your body's going to start utilizing those calories in a much better way, much more efficient way, especially when your blood sugar is in check. So now that individual is going to start losing weight at a much faster clip than they would even at a 500 calorie deficit. And I'm not going to be hurting their metabolism, right? Because again, look at it. 2,000 calories in, 2,000 calories out, 4,000. Okay, I take their 200 calorie diet, 2,000 calorie diet, and then I wanted to move it to 1,500 calories like most people would do. All right, 1,500 calories in now. Does their expenditure go at 2,000 calories a day? Maybe, until their resting metabolic rate begins to lower, like a lot of people are getting on keto-based diets. They find that they can maintain weight with like 1,000 calories or less per day. That's not healthy. That is lowering your metabolic rate. I've been saying that now for a decade. It hurts your metabolism in the long run. You want to actually have to take in a fair amount of calories in order to keep your metabolism going. So this person went from 4,000 calories in like maintaining weight for their G-Flux. Now they're down to 3,500, right? 1,500 calories in, 2,000 out. So we need to be careful with this. I'm looking at 2,000 calories in, now 2,500 calories out, 2,700 calories out. Now their G-Flux is what? 4,700 calories, and they're losing weight. So I hope that this makes sense, because when you get this, you understand the goal of metabolism. The goal of metabolism is not to diet yourself into oblivion, right? To lower your metabolic rate so much that your hormones get lower and that you can never eat any food. The 220-pound person eating 1,500 calories a day, well, what do they do when they plateau? Do they go down to what? 1,200 calories? 1,000 calories a day? I mean, there's a point of diminishing returns. And if you're a practitioner out there, we really have to pay attention to this. Okay, low carb, again, functional medicine detox, yes, for the first 21 days. I'm good with that. But then we have to start to get the food back in, get the nutrients back in. I could spend a whole show just going over how little nutrients you get, micronutrients, but I'll link up another show here today. So that was my point. I wanted to get that across, something to think about. And then in the future, I'm going to do a show on G-Flux and longevity, because the two do not necessarily coincide. So I'll bring that to you in the future. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Of course, it was helpful. Do feel free to share this show with anybody you can serve. The show notes will be at stevencabral.com/2693. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing day. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.